The legalization of marijuana in Colorado and Washington state are creating some really funny situations with the TSA, where, as written about by the Associated Press, it is now easier in a way to get through TSA security with marijuana than it is with water. This just really shows us where we are today. Voters in the two states that approved legalizing marijuana for adults over 21 now are inviting or dealing with this very odd situation where if they try to get through TSA with water, they would be turned away. But if they try to get through the TSA, and they will be forced to pour it out, in fact, whereas if they get through TSA to TSA with marijuana, it's less clear what happens. Certainly the TSA cannot confiscate it. Of course, the legalization within Colorado and Washington is not meant to allow people to transport marijuana into other states where it is against the law. But there's this incredible kind of legal ambiguity that's going on now. In Colorado, there are bans in airports, in some airports, from having marijuana, and there can be penalties as high as $2,500. You might even have to stay in a jail at the airport for some time, but it has not happened. So far, nobody is being fined. And carrying marijuana into a civilian aircraft is illegal under federal regulations, but still there are many reports of people who are easily getting through TSA with marijuana, but of course being turned away if they have water. This is interesting. And again, it's kind of like with internet law, where the law around the internet doesn't seem to actually reflect how the internet is used. And much of what has developed around the airport security, TSA, anti-terrorism, global war on terror regulations seems to not really reflect reality, in the sense that, yes, you can't get through with water. It's possible that you could have explosives in the water or something else, apparently. But with marijuana, now that it is legal, the legal situation is less clear in practice. I understand that on paper, you're not allowed to bring marijuana onto airplanes, and airports individually are banning it, but people are getting through with it.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's some discretion now on the part of individual TSA agents when these situations come up. And I can speak from my experience that it's even easier to get onto a plane with a large knife as opposed to a bottle of water.
That's right. If people don't remember, Lewis brought it was part of one of these multi-tools, but there's no question that it had a large blade that by itself would be a knife that is not allowed. And Lewis just walking right onto an airplane with a large knife in his carry-on. Very, very interesting. So legally, the TSA typically hands over anybody who has drugs to local law enforcement. Of course, in Colorado, with marijuana being legal, law enforcement doesn't really get involved because it's illegal. It's against regulations by statute to have marijuana in the airports, but it is not really a crime. And it's just this very bizarre, strange situation. I wonder if Denver Airport, which has a cigarette smoking, almost like a box where people can go in to smoke their cigarettes, shouldn't they also have one for marijuana? I mean, it is not allowed at the airports, but legally speaking, I don't understand the legal justification for having a cigarette smoking box at the airport and not a weed smoking box.
Maybe they will eventually.
Yeah, I don't know. We are going to really be up against a very strange transition period as more states begin to decriminalize and legalize marijuana, where questions of weed smoking boxes at airports will be a legitimate question, at least at some point.